Hello, good day. Thank you all for coming. It's super nice to see that you want to hear what we are talking about. We'll be discussing the vegan challenge that we both work on and that we really enjoy because it's a very positive vegan campaign, and we also think that it's having some very, very good results. Mia works in, I forgot the name of the organization also, but the challenge is called Vegaani Haaste in Finland.
Oikeutta eläimille.
Oikeutta eläimille.
And Kristoffer works in Vegaine in the Dyrenes Alliance.
That's correct.
Yeah, so the basics of the vegan challenge. What is it exactly? It's an online campaign, and it tries to get people to try vegan for either 22 days or a month, depending on the country and the concept. It runs all year round, so you can join anytime you want. And it offers lots of help and support for the participants. We'll go into that in more detail later. It's kind of the how of veganism instead of why. And it aims to make trying vegan as easy as possible. And I also have to say that I've also been really impressed by how effective this form of campaigning is, and how incredibly positive feedback we get from it. But also more later on that.
Yeah. So first you might ask, why even make a how-to campaign about veganism? Because there's already lots of information on going vegan online, and there's lots of, for instance, Facebook groups that you can join to get support and meet others who are like-minded. So why even get started to make this kind of campaign? And as Mia mentioned, we want to make it even easier, lower the bar of entry into veganism as far down as possible. So we have collected all the best information, and then we've made it like a education program, kind of like going to vegan school, where we present all the best information in a good order. We're basically telling people, just sign up and we'll take your hand and show you the way all through. Now it's not working anymore. I'll try here. Oh shit.
What's the issue? You want
to go to the next one. Oh, number just one before. Was it that now?
just try them?
I just don't know how to do this. So second good reason to make this kind of campaign is the whole challenge framing. We're not asking people to consider going vegan until they die. We just have a challenge for them, fun thing to do. See if you can live without meat and other animal products for 22 days. And we have some quotes showing that this is quite effective. People say, didn't think that I would live vegan when I started the challenge, but I have become convinced and looking forward to a continued vegan life. So you could say even if people just signed up for 22 days and afterwards they weren't going to be vegan anymore, this would still be great, because if lots of people are vegan for 22 days, this is super. But it turns out that many people, they continue also afterwards. Also the second quote, 22 days for the environment and health, I thought, but in no way do I feel done with veganism. So happy that I took the challenge. So we think that this is an effective way of drawing people in who maybe wouldn't have been open to the message of going all in forever, but just as a fun thing to try. Now the third reason is the state of many of the online fora that you can find, there's a vegan rhetoric, maybe some perfectionism and dogmatism that we've seen is quite off-putting to many people who want to try go vegan. And as an example, there's this quote from a debate piece in a big Danish newspaper from last month. The journalist writing was getting concerned about climate change, specifically because the Danish summer has been so hot. So she decided to save the climate by going vegan. So she joined all the Facebook groups that she could find that were for vegans. And in the article, you could see that she has this expectation that probably this will be a bit like Alcoholics Anonymous, where people come and say, oh, it's hard for me to avoid meat. Can we help each other, please? But as you can see, this is not what she finds. She comes off with a quite bad impression of vegans from the Facebook groups, saying the challenge is that vegans are not very pragmatic, a bit like Jehovah's Witnesses, actually, because people have been telling her that her actions are still not right, even if she eats vegan, because she has a cat at home, and if you have pets, you're not vegan. And also, some have been telling her that her motivation is wrong, because she's vegan for the climate, she wants to save the planet, but only if you're motivated by animal rights, you can call yourself a vegan. So we can say maybe this is a bit of a generalization that she's making of vegans, and maybe not, or definitely not true, of all vegans, but it's still a problem when people who want to go vegan are turned off or turned away by vegans. And we have lots of feedback in the similar vein. This is a participant from last month saying, I've tried several times to change my dietary habits, but you make it so much easier. And previously she's encountered a little opposition from other vegans, where I've been shamed for not living 100% vegan, and again, because of my motivation, which is mainly environmental. So the challenge here is all the momentum right now for veganism, all the people wanting to go vegan, are feeling turned off by the vegan rhetoric and perfectionism and dogma. But then this quote is from the same journalist who said that vegans are like Jehovah's Witnesses. This is what she wrote in our Facebook group for the members of the challenge in September. She's saying, this is the best group I've ever been part of on Facebook. Room for everyone and so much curiosity and a good tone all through. So we think that we do something correctly in the way that we've set up the groups, since people are so happy about it, who otherwise were not. And what I think we do differently is that we focus on a very beginner-friendly approach. We don't really care if people are not 100% vegan. We try to get them to 99% vegan. So for instance, things like e-numbers, or whether all alcohol is vegan, whether they have pets, stuff like that. We try to leave that out and focus on the big picture of veganism. If participants are really interested in these things themselves, we can of course help them and guide them, but we don't bring it up ourselves. And we encourage them to focus on the big picture, because we don't want them to lose motivation and give up on veganism. We want them to have a good beginning. And also it really matters that we have a screening process for the mentors, where the ones who get through are really super friendly vegans who are just super helpful and motivating, and they know that going vegan can be a process, and they're encouraging every step on that process.
So then we go into the results. So how effective is Vegan Challenge? What are the results? And in Finland this January we had 12,000 participants taking the Vegan Challenge. This number more than doubled from the previous year. And we had about 30% of all participants who answered the questionnaire afterwards. And these are the results from the questionnaire. Before taking the challenge, 76% were omnivores. Out of those, 19% were pescatarian, or eating fish. 17% were vegetarian, and only 7% were vegan. And after the challenge, 60% were vegan and said they will remain vegan, and 38% were either vegetarian or said they will reduce animal products. Only 2% said they will go back to their diet previously. The campaign runs all year round, as I mentioned, Altogether in Finland, about 50,000 people have taken the challenge since 2014. So we started in 2014 with the challenge. The first year we only had 700 participants. And since then we've been growing and learning and making it bigger, and now we are up to this point. I will speak more about this January and why we have chosen that as the main month. I will talk about that later.
And here are the results from Denmark. We started the campaign in April last year, and since then we've had a little more than 20,000 participants. Veg Fund did a study of our campaign and a couple other vegan challenges and found that before taking the challenge, 41% were omnivore, 28% vegetarian, 7% pescatarian, and you can see in the end only 9% are vegan. And then the important numbers after the challenge, 41% are now vegan, and the omnivore group has dropped all the way down to 7%. So people are sticking with this also after the challenge. The study also found that 95% of those who went vegan are feeling confident that they will continue also in the future. Another thing the study found was that 50% of the people who took the challenge also recommended it to friends and family afterwards. So what does the campaign look like? For many participants, the first thing they will see is an ad, like for instance this one on Facebook or Instagram, telling people to join the challenge, try 22 days without meat, boost your health and eat this delicious burger. And then they are taken to our Facebook page, our web page, which is just very simple. It has a motivational video, it has a quick sign up, and then you're good to go. And as you can see, the Finnish campaign is very similar. They basically stole our design.
Although ours looks much better.
Then we recommend that all the participants, they join our Facebook group, where most things are going to happen and where they can be in contact with all the mentors. Importantly, we have a new group every month, so all the people who are signing up are on the same page. Everyone is starting as a newbie, as a vegan beginner. They can then support each other in the group, and we have all the mentors in there answering all the questions that are pretty easy for a seasoned vegan to answer, but is really helpful for people who are totally green in this. And also importantly, we really focus on keeping a very positive atmosphere and help motivating the participants all through in the Facebook group.
Another very important part of supporting participants are the emails. They are either daily or then less frequent depending on the country and the concept. In Finland, we send them out daily for the whole month. And these are just some of the beginnings of the emails. You can see how they look like. The emails contain always really nice looking and easy recipes that anybody can easily make, and the ingredients you can find from local shops. You don't have to go to special shops to find them. We also have desserts, of course. We give the participants weekly shopping lists, so if they want to go and buy the dinner for every day for a week at once, they can do that. We add lots of hands-on info, really practical information of like what is the best milk for coffee, what to have for breakfast, or lots of product recommendations. We try to make it as easy as possible. We use a lot of links so people can just click on the product and see what it looks like, so they'll find it in the shops. We have info on nutrition, of course, in the beginning. Then we have personal stories and information, for example, vegan children, sports and veganism, how to deal with difficult social situations. And after about 2 weeks, we start adding some ethics into the emails. Studies show that people have a really hard time taking in the animal rights message if they are still eating meat, because they are kind of part of the suffering. But after about 2 weeks they've been vegan, it's a lot easier for them to adapt the ideas. So slowly and positively we start putting in more information about animals and environment, climate change. And we first start with happy stories and videos from sanctuaries, for example, of rescued animals. And then little by little we add more animal issues about animals' cognitive abilities and about empathy and about all kinds of different, also factory farming. But we never write it in a guilt-tripping way or preaching way, just kind of stating the facts and letting people decide for themselves. So also we add current news on related topics. So if, for example, in January, the Vegan Challenge is a lot in the media in Finland, so we add links to the media stories so people see that it's a big thing. The newsletter, the emails are really liked a lot, and you can see it from the opening rate of the emails. During the whole month, the opening rate, first it's about 80%, so 12,000 people, 80% of those open the email every day, and then towards the end of the month it's about 50%, but the industry average for non-profits is about 20%. So this shows that it's really like important for the participants. And this is some of the feedback from the daily emails. We get hundreds and thousands of these feedbacks, but I'll just read through a few of them. Amazing package as a whole, big thank you. Especially the daily emails were really motivating and there was a lot of info and recipes. I looked forward to the email every day. There was a good mix of recipes, nutrition, but also facts about animal production, climate change, and cognitive abilities of animals. The info was written in a friendly way and without guilt-tripping. Very impressed. The emails were excellent. You cannot make going vegan easier than this.
Yeah, next we also support the participants by having these shopping guides. On the left you have an album from our Facebook group where we keep an updated overview of all the vegan products that you can find in regular stores and also where to find them, like fake meats and lots of stuff that the beginners are maybe not used to finding in the supermarkets. We've also done some shopping videos where we go to the most common supermarkets to actually show where to find it in the supermarket, and also to find what are the best sections in different supermarkets for vegans to find the good stuff. And when we first did this, I had the thought that probably not many people were going to be watching, but it turned out, because it seems so easy to me to go to the supermarket and find the vegan products, but it's actually really helpful for beginners. We could see by how many commented and really liked the idea. I think it's just easy to forget that it was the how of veganism was difficult in the beginning. In the beginning, some of the first emails, we also sent some meal plans, which many participants find very helpful to have structure and to plan the whole challenge, what they're going to be eating. Again, like in the emails, we try to keep it super simple, not a lot of weird ingredients that you have to find in health food stores. We also have a gluten-free version because many participants request that, and we send out our vegetarian starter guides, also for having general info on going vegan, for instance, like dealing with social situations. Every day during the challenge, we post these mini challenges in the Facebook group, and they're really part of this education process where we're introducing the participants to new aspects of veganism every day. So for instance, in the beginning, we'll have a small challenge trying to teach them about how to incorporate beans and lentils in your diet so that they can still get proteins and feel satisfied and full. And then later we have a challenge about cheese, which is helping them to get rid of their cravings if they still have some. We also have a dietitian, a professional dietitian connected to the challenge. This is the one from Denmark, and it turns out that many participants have quite a lot of concerns about their health, and there's also a lot of myths about vegan nutrition, both among vegans and non-vegans. So it really pays off to have a professional connected to the campaign. And she's written this frequently asked questions that we have in the Facebook group, so that the mentors who are experts on being vegan, but not necessarily experts on nutrition, they can just refer to these frequently asked questions. And then she also monitors the Facebook group. So if there is some ludicrous nutrition info being posted, she can remove it. And if there are some complex questions not answered in the frequently asked questions, she can deal with those. And we feel this is a way to take responsibility for the health of all the new vegans we create in the challenge, and for instance, reminding them to eat B12. And then.
So back to the title of the talk, how to get 12,000 people to go vegan in a month. In Finland we have chosen January as the big month for the challenge because after New Year people want to make New Year's resolutions. People are maybe not so happy about how much they've been eating during Christmas. They want to change their lives again. It's a new year, new beginning. So it kind of fits in nicely. In Finland we also have this very common thing called sober January, that many people try to be sober for 1 month. So this is kind of another challenge for January. The easiest way to get people to join is to use targeted Facebook and Instagram ads. They bring most of the people to the website. I strongly recommend finding out more about those and how to use them and using them a lot. We always get famous celebrities to get involved, to take the challenge. We have had politicians, musicians, actors, all kinds of important people in the well-known people in Finland. And they either take the challenge or they can also, like in Denmark, they can also support the challenge. It's a good idea to make press releases, to try to get media. In January we usually get quite a lot of media. Media writes stories by themselves. They don't necessarily contact us because we've made vegan challenge kind of a phenomenon in Finland. It's a well-known concept because we've been doing it for so many years. And we've got a lot of media during the years, so kind of media knows that, okay, this is coming, even the shops use it, even all kinds of companies use it. So it's a nice way to get more people to hear about it, to try to get media. So you can contact journalists that you know, or you can just send out press releases. And you can use the celebrities, you can ask quotes from celebrities about why they took the challenge and use those, or you can use the number of participants. You can also organize all kinds of events. Of course, in January we have a lot of different events. We have a lot of lectures, a lot of potlucks, free movie screenings, all kinds of things that you can imagine. And try to, if you decide to take one big month, try to kind of make it a phenomenon, like something that everybody will know after a while. It might take a few years, but then it will become concept, and it will result in the fact that a lot of people, for example in Finland, a lot of people take the challenge in January without us. They don't sign up for the challenge. We know that there's thousands of people who always just have vegan January because it's a thing to do, and they don't sign up. So the true number of participants is a lot larger than the 12,000. And then you can also think of that among the 12,000 there are a lot of, for example, people with families. And if there are 5 people in a family, one person takes the challenge, maybe that person is also the person who is cooking all the food for the family. So it might end up that suddenly, through that one person, there are 5 people who are vegan for the whole month. And usually the effects show much further. It's not just the month. Most people will at least reduce animal products or will stay vegan after the month. So it's really, the numbers are much bigger than what we have data of. In Finland, we started in 2014. We had 700 people taking the challenge. Last year we had 5,500 people, and this year we had 12,000. So it's growing really fast. I don't know how to use this either. Okay, thank you. So what are the wider effects of vegan challenge? We have the numbers of the feedback of participants. We know that a lot of people go vegan through the challenge. But in Finland, just recently they published a study from 2016. And that, according to that study, 8% of Finnish people were vegetarians 2 years ago, and 20% of young adults were vegetarians. And this was before the kind of big vegan boom. This was already 2 years ago when the products weren't as good as nowadays and the boom wasn't as big as nowadays. So now I think the number is much bigger. In Finland, all meat companies and all dairy companies are making vegan products, and they want to get their share of the markets because they know it's valuable and profitable. One of the main supermarket chains, we have 2 in Finland that are the main supermarket chains. One reported that they had 160% increase of sales in vegan products during the last year. The other one also reported numbers, but they didn't have so specific, but a lot of growth in the sales of vegan products. As you might know, McDonald's also launched their vegan burger first in Finland, in one city, and they tried it out. And it sold so well that they decided to introduce it in Finland and Sweden. And they said that in the first 3 months, they sold 150,000 McVegan burgers only in Finland alone, and they were really impressed by the result. So this picture here is from a McDonald's advert that you can find from YouTube, and McDonald's is actually advertising vegan challenge. In January they brought out this advert where one of the guys, there was a couple and one guy had said, like, whispered to the woman, "I took the vegan challenge." And then you can see that in his plate he has the McVegan, but he also has milk. So the woman looks at him like this and changes his orange juice with the milk, like, now you've taken the vegan challenge. But this kind of shows that even the companies know the phenomenon and they want to use it. So this is really big.
Okay, so before we end, we just want to share a bit more participant feedback, because this is something that is really extremely rewarding about working on a campaign like this, because the positive feedback is super overwhelming. People writing, "Thanks to my mentor for answering all my questions, supporting me that one time I fell back into old habits. I choose to stay vegan for the animals and myself." Also many people, I think actually surprisingly many, more than I had expected, report health benefits that are really life-changing after a very short time changing their diet to vegan. This one, "I feel so much better, my body feels lighter and healthier than it has for many years. I would say that this has been the best 22 days in my adult life, only surpassed by the births of my children and grandchildren." Extremely positive. Then the last thing, Now we have these two very similar campaigns, but there are many vegan challenges in the world. Here are 6 examples, but we've counted to about 30. And if you think this would be a campaign that you would like to work on, right now is a very good time to get started, because Anima International has started coordinating international collaboration so that we can all learn and become better by working together.
Yeah, as Kristoffer said, now is the perfect time to get involved and start a challenge of your own. So if you want to hear more, details about how to start a challenge, you can come and talk to us afterwards. But now it's time for some general questions. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your inspirational talk. And now we have some spare minutes for the questions, as you said. So, yeah. Okay.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I know that research from many years ago has suggested that a lot of people that go vegan actually go back to eating animals. And I definitely think that this is changing because being vegan is getting easier by like every day. But I was thinking if you've ever considered expanding the challenge to like make social groups so that the mentees can support each other and keep their vegan habits.
Do you mean like in real life meeting up? We've started talking about it a little bit. It also concerns you actually, because then we would have something out in the local groups. We work in the same organization. Every month having something where the mentees get together, connected to the Dyrenes Alliance in the local group all over the world, all over Denmark I mean. So we've been thinking about it a little. Do you have something to add? Oh, and of course, after they take the challenge, as I said, each month we have a new Facebook group and that closes. But then we invite people to come into a like Vegan Challenge graduates group where they can continue supporting each other afterwards.
Okay. Next question.
Thank you for a really nice presentation. You mentioned McDonald's and that they voluntarily kind of gave some feedback to the group by advertising for it. Have you thought more about more collaboration with producers or corporations in general?
In Finland we make sponsorship deals, or we started this year making sponsorship deals with companies. So we have some cooperation with that and they give us money. But we don't let it affect anything that is inside the emails, for example. So we will anyway advertise the products that we think are good, but they maybe get their recipe in one of our emails, and then they give us money through that. So we kind of work with corporations in that way, at least.
You want to answer? Okay. Any other question? Okay, yeah, sorry. Ladies first.
Thank you. I'm asking for a friend because her English isn't very good. But she wants to ask you 2 questions. The first one is, have you ever tried to you have numbers on how many people are want to stay vegan after the challenge, but have you ever tried to contact those people after a longer period of time and ask them if they stay vegan, and actually get the numbers of how many people stay vegan after the longer period of time? And the second question is, it was partially answered, where do you get money to do all this stuff? You mentioned the sponsorships, but how many % of your funds, if you can mention it, if you can say it, are those sponsorships, and where do you get the rest of the money? Thank you.
So I can answer the first question about longer studies, longer-term studies, because the Veg Fund study that I mentioned earlier, it actually ran, I think, 5 months. So they were asking people from 3 different months, and then they were reaching out to them again 3 months after they had finished the challenge. There were some problems with data collection for the Danish challenge, so we don't have the numbers for the 3 months mark. But from the 2 other campaigns that are very similar to the Danish campaign, I think the numbers were very similar to what they were 1 month after pledging to go vegan. But a little fewer were vegan, but it was still quite consistent 3 months after also.
Yeah, there was.
And I can, if you want, I can show you the study afterwards.
Yeah, there was one slide that was missing. I don't know if we get it to work. It had some other things that we did on as photos. We made a street advert campaign in January. So we had big billboard adverts, or like ordinary sized ones, and bus stops and by the streets in the major cities in Finland. And some other big events that cost a lot of money. From the sponsorships, it was the first time we tried it. We got some money, but not enough to cover all the costs that went into kind of things that we promised to give them, like the visibility, for example. Yeah, this is maybe the first one. Yeah, excellent. So this is a big event that we did in a shopping center in Helsinki, promotion event. We gave out some food samples and we were asking people to sign up for the challenge. And yeah, it works. And we asked people to take a picture in front of this wall, and then they could win some prizes. And still maybe doesn't have the street ads, but yeah, then we did these live stream videos from shops, big supermarkets, on Facebook, so people could comment in real time and ask questions, and we'd show all the products that are there. This is just one supermarket advertising vegan products, and this is a lot. In Finland we have a crazy amount of Finnish companies making different vegan products that you cannot really buy from other places. But it still didn't have the advert. It was in the beginning. I think it was the first one. But anyway, we got this year or last year we got some funding from outside source. We got a big kind of big sum of money, so we could put all these ads and things together. But in the beginning, you don't really need. Yeah, it's there. You don't really need much money. Like, you can start a challenge like we did. We just started with daily emails, and we just advertised it through our Facebook pages. We didn't even have, didn't, for the first many years, we didn't use any money on Facebook advertising. We didn't know how to make ads there. We just advertised it in different groups and tried to get as many people as possible to join. And Facebook ads are pretty cheap as well. So if you can somehow fundraise, that's like the best and most effective channel to get those people. So all these things are just like kind of extra things for when you have the money and when you've grown enough that you want to use the money for such things.
Sorry, I can't do it.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted to show you the ads, how they looked, but I cannot do it now. Thank you.
I really apologize for these technical issues. So last 2 questions probably, you and you, okay?
Thank you. I didn't know about the vegan challenge month up until now, and it looks super impressive. You spoke a lot about the consumption side of veganism, and in one of the user feedbacks that you got, the person mentioned that he went vegan for his health and for the animals. So do you know if there's any increased interest in, like, is it working? Okay. Any increased interest in like shelters or any other parts of helping animals apart from going vegan and eating vegetables?
Like shelters, animal shelters?
Animal shelters, or even like animal rights groups, whether they grew in numbers following these challenges, whether you know anything about this?
Yeah, no, I don't remember the numbers, but this is actually also part of the Veg Fund study, and they actually asked people specifically about, after doing the challenge, have you considered helping out in an animal shelter? And then also other animal rights work. And I think some people have an increased likelihood after starting to eat vegan themselves, but I don't remember the numbers, but I can find that for you, the study also.
Our group definitely has had a lot of activists through Vegan Challenge. We had one national gathering conference a year or two ago, and we asked how many people have come to animal rights through Vegan Challenge, and most of the people put their hands up. So it's a lot of transition to that as well, and we advertise it in the daily emails in the end. We say, this organization is making the challenge, and you support it and get involved.
So last question, and please try to be as quick as possible. Thank you.
I'll try to be quick then. 2 questions, who ties together. So first question is, which segment were you targeting with your campaign? Like, was it farmers? Was it young women in cities? And did you get surprised by who signed up for the challenge? Because I saw like you had about 30% of reductarians, vegetarians or vegans signing up. And was that your goal to begin with? And the second question is, me and Kristoffer was my mentor in philosophy with animal ethics, and we talk a lot about how to save as many animals as possible. So I was wondering if you had any thoughts about, could you make this campaign about the vegetarian challenge? Do you think that could make even more people sign up? Or what? Do you have any thoughts about that?
So the last one, I know that on the last slide, there's the challenge called Veggie Challenge. And I think they actually have different, you can take different challenges. You can choose your ambition level, if you want to go vegetarian, or if you want to go vegan. And then they will design the challenge for you specifically. But I don't know, I think it works well. I don't know.
Yeah, our kind of problem is that we have the concept and the name is so well known that we cannot change it to Veggie Challenge anymore, even if we would want to. But we try to still communicate it so that people can take it even if they want to reduce meat, even if they want to try more vegan recipes. They don't have to, they are not like you have to be vegan, but we try to say that this is for everybody who wants delicious recipes, who wants to maybe just eat less meat. But on the other hand, I think that in Finland we wouldn't have such huge amount of vegan products, because it seems that at the moment all the meat companies, for example, are making their products straight vegan and not vegetarian because of the vegan boom. And I'm not sure if we would have that without the kind of vegan being out there so much.
The first question was about if we were surprised by the demographics that who you're targeting. Yeah, so we had when we launched the campaign, we were a little afraid that a lot of the people who took the challenge were going to be vegan already, but they signed up then because they wanted to support it. So it was very affirming to have the results from the Veg Fund study showing that a large proportion were not vegan, only 9% in the beginning, and that it had changed afterwards.
With the ads, we targeted mainly women, and it showed on the number of participants of women, it was mainly women. Next January we aim to get a lot more men, so we need to rethink of the advertising.
Okay, so thank you once again, and now it's time for the lunch break.